Like, what if you don't want to grow? Like, I feel like it's hard to embrace personal development if you feel like it is what it is. I'm good. You know what I mean? And I'm better than these folks, especially if you're comparing your folks, like you come up a little bit, right? And you're like, I'm better than this. At least I'm not in jail. At least I'm not, I don't know what's wrong with my throat, but at least I'm not, like them. And so you feel like I don't need to grow because I'm better than whatever group you're comparing yourself to. Like folks, you say that to us, well, at least your son's not in jail. Well, then, first of all, they're not supposed to be in jail. Like that's not an option for like, I get it that, people make decisions that we all do that we regret later on. Right. Thank God there was no social media because I probably would have been locked up for some stuff. But, but my point is that you can't, I shouldn't say you can't. It's hard to grow when we don't feel like we need to grow. Right.
I guess if you haven't been exposed to better, then you may feel that way. But you brought up social media and movies and television. There's no way that you can't think there's better.
Right.
Wherever you are, there's always a higher bar.
If you're a go-getter, faith-driven and family-focused and need to break through to your next level, this is the podcast for you. Your self-talk can reshape every area of your life. It's time to dream and think big. Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience with Darnell and Tracy Self. It's time to elevate, baby. Let's get into the show.
Welcome to the Self-Talk Experience. I am Tracy Self.
And I'm Darnell Self.
My co-host. Hi, babe.
Hey, welcome to the Self-Talk Experience, where the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what we attract for ourselves.
Absolutely.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I have on my cousin's sweatshirts.
Yes. Yeah, our family have some very unique names.
Yes.
Like our last name is Self. My cousin's last name is Usual. So usual spelled backwards is Lasue. So Lasue is, she was on New York Fashion Week.
She just came off of New York Fashion Week. We're so proud of her.
Yeah.
So
Congratulations. Check it out. Lasue Lifestyle on Instagram. Check out the link and go support.
Go support.
Yeah. Listen, guys, do you realize that there are some people who are not the same day by day, week by week, month by month? And sometimes we can't tell they're not the same until perhaps years go by.
Okay.
Because it doesn't always show up. So you see someone this week, you see them next week, you may not notice the difference. Right? I'm not talking about physically. I'm saying how their mindset wise, how they respond to things, how they see things, how they see themselves. But you ever see someone you haven't seen in a long time, and you're like, something about you is different.
Something different. Yes.
Yeah.
So you're talking about not weight or like physically hair. You're talking about just their presence,
their
attitude.
Right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
How they show up, how they show up for themselves, how they show up for other people, how they look at themselves, how they look at other people, how they look at life, how they look at their past, how they look at their future, how they look at their problems, how they look for solutions.
Yeah.
Like all that shifts. And you can tell. I mean, they walk in the room, it brightens. And perhaps before, they could get lost in the room. And now they walk in and folks notice them.
Wow. Yeah.
And you're like, you're not the same.
Do you feel like that happens often?
Yes, but it can happen in reverse. And folks start dimming their lights.
Because of life and situations and
things they've gone through, people they're around, to make those folks feel secure.
Oh my gosh, a circle is really key.
It is, right? Because to make that circle feel comfortable, perhaps they start to dim their own light and don't even realize it.
Or not because of that reason, or because they don't feel confident around the people they're around because they're so confident. So they don't know how to express, they don't feel as confident.
Well, what happens typically there is that they shift circles so that people typically don't like to exist in a circle where they're the lowest on the totem pole. I love it because it stretches me. It causes me to grow. But a lot of folks find a way to get around those who make them feel like they've at least have something going on. No one wants to feel like they have nothing going on. And sometimes you can feel that way without what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
If you're around folks who've achieved more, who've done more,
right,
who are doing more, who are traveling more. You know what I mean? Have more.
Mhm.
And you're like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
Instead of, I can't wait to be like them. I'm so glad I'm blessed to be in this room around these folks because it's stretching me. It's causing me. So that's one way to look at it. And not like, I'm a loser. I'll never be where they are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So today I thought I'd talk about this thing that I know has elevated us to such levels that I am so grateful
Mhm.
because of this one thing. And I've watched it shift people and cause them to become a different version of themselves that I think they didn't even think was possible. So this is like putting a magnifying glass on you. Excuse me. So I don't think that some people want to do it because it causes self-reflection.
Okay.
And you look at yourself in the mirror, it's like, I don't like that person. And I know that sounds like negative self-talk, but the first thing you have to do in order to change is to acknowledge.
Mhm.
And I acknowledge that I am at a place where I don't like and I'm ready to change.
Right.
You know what that thing is? Personal development.
Okay. I know.
I call it PD for short.
Yeah.
So I told you earlier, I think it was yesterday or maybe this morning, I was like, hey, I want to talk about personal development because it's hard to measure it.
Yes.
There's no real data that says if you read these 3 books, you become this or you become 50% better.
That's so true. You can't quantify. Like, how do you even weigh it? Like,
right. So I think if you could, more people would embrace it. Like folks would be like, oh, personal development
studies have shown that I'll be this
right.
person in 2 years if I do this or take this course.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So folks would, they would listen to more podcasts or watch more podcasts. They would go to more seminars or attend events.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think that's the key is, how do we get people to embrace more personal development? What do you think?
I don't know, but it's a key for me to think about that. What you just said spoke to me because you're talking about being aware.
Yeah. Being
aware of your surroundings and being aware of how you're thinking. So I think it was Michael Singer. He talks about how if you can spend time with yourself, but not dwell on what's negative. So spending time with yourself, for instance, I'm frustrated, right? So being aware that I'm frustrated, but not dwelling in my frustration.
Yeah.
So being aware of it. Good. So I'm spending time with myself because I like myself. I want to develop myself, but I'm not dwelling on what's not going right, but trying to really focus on what's going well, still being aware, because you know how we say, I know it's hard, but it is hard.
Right.
So let's acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Let's acknowledge I'm lonely.
Yeah.
Let's acknowledge I'm not doing the best I can, right? But after we acknowledge it, let's sit with something else to fix it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. No, it makes complete sense.
But you just made me think about it when you said just knowing. It's like half the battle is being aware of, I need to fix that.
Yeah.
I need to work. I need to work on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And once you figure that part out, it's easy.
Yep. So
no,
it is. I'm gonna throw something else at you though.
Okay.
Like, what if you don't want to grow? I feel like it's hard to embrace personal development if you feel like it is what it is. I'm good. You know what I mean? And I'm better than these folks, especially if you're comparing your folks, like you come up a little bit, right? And you're like, I'm better than this. At least I'm not in jail. At least I'm not, I don't know what's wrong with my throat, but at least I'm not, like them. And so you feel like I don't need to grow because I'm better than whatever group you're comparing yourself to. Like folks, you say that to us, well, at least your son's not in jail. Well, then, first of all, they're not supposed to be in jail. Like that's not an option for I get it that, people make decisions that we all do that we regret later on. Right? Thank God there was no social media because I probably would have been locked up for some stuff. But my point is that you can't, I shouldn't say you can't. It's hard to grow when we don't feel like we need to grow.
Right. I guess if you haven't been exposed to better, then you may feel that way. But you brought up social media and movies and television. There's no way that you can't think there's better.
Right.
Wherever you are, there's always a higher bar.
Right.
Right. So to me, if you don't want to be better or you see better things, what does that say about you?
Right.
Right.
I mean,
because you can't force personal development. You
Right.
can't force people to want to be better.
Right.
But to get to a place where they may want to try it is what you're saying. Like, how do you get that person?
So, because I'm trying to encourage the audience who, and look, our audience obviously is into personal development because they're watching the podcast.
But maybe they're attached to someone
That's my point.
Who they want to be with them.
Yeah.
And help them to get to a better place.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And so I just think that personal development is such a key factor in every aspect of your life. And that's why I encourage people to just grow. And if it's just reading a couple of pages, people are like, I don't like to read. Well, great. Do you like the results that you would get?
Right.
Like, do you feel like there's some bitterness in you? Do you feel like there's some insecurity?
But that goes back to when you're younger, when your mom says, read this chapter for your homework. Well, I don't feel like reading. Well, do you want to fail the test or do you want to pass the test? These are all things that you have already in you. Right.
Yeah. And even if, but here's the thing, even if somebody can't read, they can listen to an audio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So they don't have personal development. It isn't just reading. They can listen to audio. They can attend an event, a networking event, meet some different people, learn some different things. Right. So, I mean, we've attended, I don't know how many over the last 20 years, similar in our type of events where we've learned leadership skills. We've learned communication skills. We've learned entrepreneurship. We've learned about social media and branding. And so, we just continue to evolve because I always think, I can be better.
But when you start evolving in one area of your life, you want to expand in all areas.
I would think so, yeah.
Just you're talking about entrepreneurship and business, but when you're doing so well in that and you're already reading, you already want to be better. It's like, you know what? Maybe I can be a better parent. Let me start reading about being a better parent or going to watch podcasts about parenting. And then you're like, you know what? Maybe I could be better in my marriage. And I feel like it makes you kind of want to spread your wings when you get to a certain point.
Yeah.
You don't want to just be great at one thing.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. I would like to think that if you want to be great, you want to be great. Period. But again, sometimes it takes exposure. So being exposed to parents and kids that you admire, and you're like, I love the way you guys interact with your kids. I love the way your kids are so respectful. And you're like, I want that. Can you give me, give me some tips there?
Or even watching a relationship.
Yeah.
Or how a spouse talks to her husband, or how a husband does it. You're like, I want that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think with personal development is allowed for us, me, for the folks who I'm in relationship with, it's allow them and allow those who are really involved in personal development, like daily, consistently growing themselves. It's allow them to take a look at who they truly are and what needs to be done to create this next version of themselves.
Yeah.
And I say that often because there's another version of you waiting, but you're not going to accidentally fall into that version.
Well, sometimes things happen.
Right.
And you realize you didn't handle it how you should have, or you just look up and you're like, I haven't read a book in a month. I would have handled that situation a lot differently if I had. So sometimes, again, it's being aware, right? Or somebody could say, the last 3 months, you haven't been off. What's going on with you?
Right.
You haven't been that same person. You haven't shown up the same.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And you could maybe trace it back. So you know what? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I haven't been.
Because it's continuous. It's like anything else. And, you do something one time, you're like, oh, I did it once.
Yeah,
like,
you can't stop.
Like I took a shower. Like you're done for the year. You took one. So that's not good, right? I took the course. Like you saw it one time. That's just not enough, right? You have to go over that course over and over and over again to start mastering those things, right? Because you don't even remember part 2 of that course. If you're on part 11, you have to go back over and over. And if you watch it as if you had to teach it, you will actually learn it differently.
That's so true.
So I just saw a post not too long ago with a doctor. And I don't know what kind of doctor he was. Could have been a psychologist, but he had an orange in his hand. And he says, when I squeeze this orange, I don't care how I squeeze it. There's never going to be anything but orange juice that comes out of it. Apple juice won't come out of it. Lemon juice, I'm paraphrasing, making up my own stuff now, but
Sure.
lemon juice won't come out of it. It's always going to be orange juice.
Right.
So whatever's inside of this will always come out. And so whatever's inside of you will always come out. If there's bitterness, that's what's going to come out. If you squeeze you in that situation, doesn't matter, because we can blame the situation where they cut me off, they talked to me that way,
Right.
they did this, and it's so easy to blame. Well, they didn't apologize, they didn't, but
Right.
ultimately what came out was in you, because you could have handled that differently, but it's in you for that to come out that way. And that's, again, we're talking about, in the very beginning, we said taking full responsibility and awareness of this is where I am.
Yeah.
And I admitted on stage in front of 1,000 people about how I handled the situation. And I said, that was in me. Like I could say, because and you could say, well, that person should have handled different. They were rude, and they were.
Yeah.
But still, how I responded, that was in me.
No, it's funny. You know how you watch the reality? Well, you don't really watch reality shows, but sometimes on the reality shows, they'll show stuff and then the person will say, I mean, I would never act like that. I would never do that. It does. They cut it. And you still said it. Like
Right.
you said it. So
Right.
they can cut up however they want, but that was still in
Right.
you.
May have been out of context, but you still said it.
still said it.
Right.
Right. So it's just funny. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And so I just want to encourage, I know our audience, again, is into personal development, but I want to encourage you to encourage the people you're around to stay consistent with personal development. And I'm thankful because I think we got into personal development. Your mom bought us a book.
The gratitude journal, we talked about it on
No,
one of
even
our
no, not
episodes.
before that. It was a book called Jesus CEO.
Oh, yeah.
Or Jesus in Blue Jeans, I think. And then Jesus
Then,
CEO
yes.
came after that. And Lori Beth somebody, I can't remember the author's name, but that's just crazy because I was like 23 or 24 years old.
Yes.
And that's when I started, I never read anything outside of college, outside of high school. And so I read that and I thought, wow, this is really interesting. It caused me to think differently. It caused me to operate differently in my life in my early 20s. And I thought, man, this is good. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like, Jesus in Blue Jeans. If Jesus walked in the world today, why, so but it was interesting. Now, don't get the religion out of it. The personal development, again, allows you to see things with a different lens.
I needed that when I was a cashier at the mall. Whew.
She was something
I would be
else.
such a better cashier now. I would be.
I know.
I would be a lot
You
more
would.
pleasant.
But I can't see you being a cashier now. But
No,
yes,
I
you would
mean-
be. Yes. Listen, it was at the mall. It was something special, but we're not even gonna go there. But you've grown.
I have. No,
Yes.
I have.
You've read a lot.
I still have growing to do, but
Yes.
back then.
We all have growing to do, and that's the point, right? That's the point.
Yes.
We all have growing to do.
But this is the thing. Back then, I wasn't even aware that I had growing to do.
Yeah. But at least,
Right?
but you're in
But
your
because
20s.
of
But there are
personal
people in their
development.
50s who still don't realize they have growing to do. They haven't accepted that, you know what? I should be thinking differently about this. And the good thing is, at least, even if you're not doing it yet, but you're aware that you need to do it, that's at least step one. Give yourself some credit for that and say, look, I am moving towards embracing what I know I need to do and just haven't done it yet. So
Right.
at least you know now.
Yeah, it just makes a difference when you know, because sometimes I'll say something and right away, like, I wish I would have said that differently.
Yeah.
Or why did I say it at that time? And before, it would take me a minute. Like, what's going on? Oh, yeah, last week I probably should have said that. Maybe that's what.
I know.
But now I find myself catching it sooner.
Yeah. And you're in a relationship with somebody who calls you out on it.
Yeah, you do.
Calls you out on it, which is good, right? Because if I don't call you out in a way that you feel was helpful and not hurtful, then you'll say, I get what you're saying, and you're actually right. I do need to handle that differently, but I think I would receive it better if you said it this way.
Well, that communication is key
Yeah.
with everything.
Right. So not just the words of communication, but how you're communicating is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Right? Because you
How
don't
you
mind
say
me
it.
calling you out because you're like, I want to be better. It's like, let me know. Don't let me walk around being like this when you think that I could show up differently like that.
Yeah.
right? So you actually wanted, you said, hey, please call me out. So you gave me permission to call you out, which I do. But it's how you communicate too that allows you to feel like I'm saying it because I want to help you, not because I want to hurt you because you didn't get it right.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like a little jab, like, look, you're still doing that.
Yeah.
And it feels like, do you want me to be better? Or are you just saying it because you like hate me?
Because it's not nice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that's key, right? Because even for me, like, I may not get it right the first time.
Or even the second time.
That's exactly right. So if you're not careful, you'll communicate it with a lack of personal development. You'll communicate the third time like you're so frustrated that the person just gives up. Like, I don't, you showed me, you forwarded me some post. Chanel's the funniest thing in the world. The little girl spilled a little bit of juice.
She was walking and spilled a little bit. And then after she did, she just poured the whole thing out.
She poured the whole thing out.
No, but I sent it to you. I thought it was funny. And then you sent it back and put that so you.
Yes.
I get so frustrated.
One mishap and it's like, I don't want to do it at all. Yeah. I don't even want to go anymore.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, one little thing. Let's not even go to the party. Like, what? You're just trying to get your makeup right. I don't even want to go. Like, spend some more time. Get yourself right.
I do that.
Get yourself, you get yourself together.
I know.
So one little thing, man. Something with your clothes, some little mishap is like, never mind. Change your clothes.
I'm getting better.
I know, but it's funny. But that reminds me of that. So sometimes it may take a couple of times to get yourself in a place where you're like, I'm different. I'm different, right?
Yeah.
And you are certainly not the same person you were a year ago.
Well, thank you, babe. You say that often. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, you're not. And that's either good or bad. It's good because you're working on yourself. It's bad because where were you a year ago that I can tell the difference today that much?
It's
I'm
not
just
playing.
I'm just being funny.
Oh, my God.
Don't laugh because you're different too.
However I get there, I just want to get there. So it's fine.
Yeah. And I'm certainly glad that you embrace and you encourage personal development. Because I think it would be hard for someone to say, why are you reading all the time? Why you got to listen to another podcast? Why we have to go here?
Yeah.
Whether it be your church, whether it be a conference, like you going to another conference, did you just go to one? Like someone, if you're connected to someone who rejects personal development, it's going to be tough. Yeah. Because they feel like we good. You know, that's a trigger for me, that whole, we good. You knew what this was?
You don't
know
like
what this
that
is?
at all. There are a lot of things you don't.
Because you know what this was says that I'm still what was. You know what this is? It means that look, when this is what it was 10 years ago, this was always going to be. You knew what it was and you accepted this and it's going to be forever. Really? Forever?
Yeah.
You were 30, you're 40, you're 50 now. You still want to fight?
That's not even a red flag. That's a yellow flag.
That's
like caution.
Right. Before it even got red.
Get to the red flag.
Right. You didn't even get the red. Right.
I got it. I got you.
I'm going to speed through this light while it's yellow. I don't even want to see that red.
Keep it going.
All right, guys. All right, guys. I'm sorry. We're rambling now. But I hope we've encouraged you
absolutely
to get your circle.
You encouraged me.
Thank you. To continue to develop themselves as we continue to develop ourselves. I love growth.
Yes.
And I hope that you do too. We look forward to seeing you guys next time. Remember, this is a self-talk experience, meaning that the things we say to ourselves about ourselves eventually determines what and even who you attract for yourselves.
And please do your personal development because obviously it helped me.
Yes, it did.
Thank you for listening to the Self-Talk Podcast with Darnell and Tracy Self. We hope you enjoyed. Be sure to rate and review this podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. And we'll see you next time. And remember, talk good to yourself.